Hey, welcome back to the Gear Graveyard. Just me today. True is under the weather. And I'm starting on this screen because this is what I want to talk about, Windows. And I want to talk about some old Windows. I've been looking at this screen for an hour now. And the reason it bothers me, and it is actually making me super mad, is that this computer needed to be used right now. Unfortunately, it needed to be rebooted. And when it rebooted, it did this. And it's been doing this for an hour. Hey, 96, maybe we'll be done pretty soon here. I don't know. 97, whoa, it's kind of a miracle. I can't believe that this is actually happening. 98, oh man, we're going to count it down. It's actually going to finish? No, it's not going to finish. It can't finish right now. That would be the worst possible timing ever. 100%. Are you kidding me? Are you f***ing kidding me? Her class is starting right this minute. Hi, you f***ing piece of shit operating system. You're getting things ready for me. Oh, thanks so much. I'm so happy about that. Jeepers creepers. Might take a few minutes. Don't turn off your PC. It's already taken a few minutes. God damn it. So f***ing pissed at Microsoft.
We have a big house with a big attic filled with old gear. Mom says it all must go.
But I say each piece has a story.
Welcome to the Gear Graveyard.
Okay, now I get it. It was an involuntary update to Windows 11. Those f***ers, they didn't ask. This time there was no screen. There was no chance to turn it down. They just did it. Yeah, this is pissing me off. This is not okay, Microsoft. This is really, really bad. Okay, I am calm now. I have been to the attic and pulled out this, which I believe is the last boxed version of Windows that I ever purchased. I think more recent versions came with new computers. And I brought this out to talk about because this was in an era when operating systems did not suck. And to a degree, there have always been complaints about how operating systems did and didn't work, but it's on such a different scale today than it was back then. In 1998, when this came out, we greeted this happily because it fixed some of the clunky things about Windows 95, and it was an easy upgrade, and it was an incremental changes to screens and dialogues and structure of settings. I mean, very, very small changes. And yeah, there were changes under the hood. We appreciated those too, but basically we didn't have to relearn things. We didn't get lost after we had installed this. And we certainly didn't have to wait an hour for some upgrade that we didn't request to happen. So before I take a look at this system, I want to talk a little bit about what actually happened today, and then I'll be back. This Acer Spin is a 2020 system. And was running Windows 10. We had staunchly declined all of the Windows 11 updates because the hardware is not certified as being Windows 11 updatable. We've accepted, of course, all of the other updates that have come along, but we just didn't, and we also didn't think that, there was any reason to upgrade. The games were running fine. This is mostly a gaming computer. My son uses this in his bedroom. That's where it basically lives. Today, however, my wife needed it because she was teaching a class and she needed a system for Zoom, and she takes it out once a week. And so we took it out, we brought it to her, realized that it needed to be rebooted. So I rebooted the system, thinking that I was really just, we were at that point that was about 45 minutes before the start of her class, I think. But it was, no big deal. Just rebooting and clearing it out so we can start from scratch to make sure everything's going to work. And that's when we got the messages I showed earlier. And the system was out of commission for an hour, and with no indication of what it was doing other than it was updating. We knew that, but it was clearly not a typical update because it didn't have the same kind of screens. It was a black screen with white letters. So I knew it was something big, but I thought it was maybe the 24H2. When it finally booted, it booted into Windows 11, which I didn't want, and I had declined over and over again, though I was, of course, willing to accept whatever the other updates were. And so suddenly we have been force-fed Windows 11, and I'm not okay with that. I guess my biggest problem is that I thought I had done everything correctly, and Microsoft has been exceedingly deceptive about updating Windows, the Windows 11 updates. They probably have reasons for that, and they can't be good enough to justify that type of behavior. That is unacceptable behavior to force feed an operating system upgrade to anybody. And that's what Scout's saying. Scout's looking at this going saying, yeah, you can't update those. You can't update unless you have permission to do that. You can't update on old systems like this because we don't know if it's going to run. That's what Scout says, and that's what I say too. Okay, that's the short story. Let's be clear here before I start to go down memory lane on this guy. I'm not advocating that Windows 98 was better or ideal or anything like that. I'm actually not even advocating for anything here. What I'm going to note is I'm going to note that this didn't suck. And so much of modern Windows sucks. And it sucks because people have felt the need, I don't even know, I assume there are people behind these changes, have just decided that there need to be changes. There need to be changes so that you have another product to sell, or you have another download. I don't even know what the reason for it is. That's my only point here, is to say Windows didn't suck in this era. Modern Windows is full of inefficiencies. It's full of layers of crap that don't belong there. And weirdly, it doesn't have some of the features that we used to have that made Windows usable. It's like somebody, I hate to use the cliche of a car, but it's like somebody decided that the steering wheel should be oval instead of round, right? I mean, why would you do that? For the most part, the round steering wheel has proven to be pretty effective. It's understandable and everything like that. I don't get why they make these changes. So that's my prelude before I start going down memory lane here. So let's get this guy open. It has this really nifty. They really spent some money on the box because each of these bumps is raised, and you can. That's very cool. Okay, we've got. So on the back. Works better, plays better. I don't really care much about this branding and all of the sales language. This was all a bunch of crap for the most part. Look at those system requirements, though. You got to have a 486DX. You couldn't have the 486SX. You needed 16 megabytes of RAM. Woohoo! So it came in the standard brown box. This is everything that it came with. Oh, look at that. You got the the Windows 98 disk still in there, actually. And the Windows 98 disk is in one of these little CD sleeves that you can... Can you open it? It doesn't open that way. But there it is. There's the disk. And the whole of Windows... well, this was an upgrade, obviously, but it pretty much overrode everything from the previous versions. So that's all on there. This came with it. Free month of internet access and unlimited email. Ooh, can you imagine? Unlimited email. That's such a great thing. Don't we all wish there were limits to our email? Like, I can only get so many stupid messages per day. And there's no such thing. Start clicking here. MSN. Okay, that's what they're promoting there. This just came in the box. Oh, AOL. New version, AOL 4.0. 100 free hours. Of course, by this point, we all had AOL. We didn't need the free hours. And these discs were everywhere. And people just threw them away. Actually, some people made them into, coffee tables and shawls, and I've seen all kinds of things made out of those. Discover the possibilities of the Microsoft World Wide Web sites. Microsoft.com, I'm sorry, really sorry to say this, but it's one of the worst sites that I deal with for tech support. It really is terrible. They have these independent advisors, and every response in the independent advisors starts with, "Hello, my name is so-and-so, and I'm so happy to be able to help you with this problem today," which is immediately followed by an answer that does not answer the problem. It almost always says, the first thing you need to do is make sure your drivers are up to date. Make sure that Windows is up to date, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I really just need to know what the registry key is that I need to change in order to get this. It's terrible. It's a terrible site altogether. And that's why... for some reason, Google searches often lead there. And when I see that an answer is on Microsoft.com, I will absolutely not click on it. I know it will be useless. So, hey, Microsoft, this is your lucky day. I'm ranting about you. This came with the AOL disk, I suppose. 50 free hours. And the other one say 100 free hours? Let's just check here. That says 100 free hours. This one says 50 free hours. Well, which is it, AOL? Wow, all new 4.0. Something went wrong there. All right, that came in the box. 53 hours, all new learned online. Okay, and a manual. Wow, quaint for the manual. I'm not sure. We'll flip through this. There's the software licensing and everything like that. What could this possibly start with? What could this, congratulations on Windows out of the box. Getting started introduces you to Microsoft Windows 98 and helps you get the operating system up and running right away. In addition to learning how to install Windows 98, you learn how to use the desktop and you find out about new features. Ooh, how about that? If you are new to computers, start with Appendix A, using a mouse. And then using your desktop. Oh, man. These were simpler days. I'm telling you, these were simpler days. I guess, my biggest point is that, there is something quaint about this. Even though, obviously, this probably all looks pretty archaic right now. But I'm just going to say that, but the world was just simpler and the software was simpler. And a lot of what has happened in operating systems has been about security and changes in standards and technologies and all that kind of stuff. I get it. I understand that you need to keep up with stuff like that. There is a real sense, though, that what Microsoft is doing with Windows right now, they're rearranging deck chairs. Maybe they know that the PCs and laptops are not long for the world. I actually think PCs and laptops are going to be around for a really long time. I don't think they're dead. But I do think that the crappiness of modern Windows, the crappy UX decisions, the crappy defaults, the sense that we're going to put everything on your computer and we're going to turn it all on because you're probably going to need it. Even if you don't, it doesn't slow your computer down. This feels like it's the philosophy. And that's just terrible. That's just terrible, terrible thinking. The right thinking that Microsoft should be doing is, what does good Windows look like? Ooh, look at that. Working in Windows 95 Classic style. It gives you an option of going back to Windows 95 Classic style. I'm actually not sure entirely what those differences would be. I just don't remember. But wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to say, I want my PC to look like it did when it was Windows 7 or, Windows XP. That's what I want. I want that file explorer. I want that start menu. I want that taskbar. Or maybe I want like a modern equivalent of that. The modern equivalent of the Windows XP start menu, which was pretty much the perfect start menu. Maybe that's what I want. Of course, that is what you can get with Start 11. This video is not sponsored, but I love Start 11. I also use Fences from StarDock. These are both from StarDock. Cheap, and they go in and they add customization that you just can't get with Microsoft. I feel like I think there's an idea that the industry should work that way, that Microsoft should give us a basic product and that somewhere somebody else can sell a product that makes it better, that's the market way of doing things. And I get that, and I appreciate that, and I do think there's like a bare minimum. I think there's a bare minimum that Microsoft should give us, and they don't. They did back in the day. Back in this day, they sure did. Active desktop. There's a lot of really weird old stuff in here. Probably stuff that nobody ever used. Active channel guide. I don't even know what that is. Active channel guide. Looks like that's a internet. Kind of like the widgets thing that I just disabled. Watching TV on your computer? Why is Microsoft doing that? That's crazy. Microsoft Web TV for Windows. There was a plan in the late 90s, the Justice Department, I think it was, no, not the Justice Department, the Federal Trade Commission had decided to break up Microsoft into operating system and applications as two separate companies. And that didn't happen because of the election of 2000. But man, would life be better today if that had happened. I really think so, because there would be one company focusing on the operating system, and we wouldn't have all these integrations, all these things that are that kind of turn Windows into this sucky pile of steaming crap. Can I say that? Sucking pile of steaming crap. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Yeah, I use Windows every day. It's a necessary evil at this point. How do you like that, Microsoft? People think of your product as a necessary evil. Maybe you should split yourself into two different companies. Applications, operating systems, and then maybe like forward-thinking innovation, technological, like hardware. They're doing this stuff with the quantum computing that they making weird claims that I read about yesterday about a new state of matter. I was sure it was plasma, but it's not on the hot end, it's on the cold end. Didn't ever give it a name. Well, they gave it some weird name that didn't sound like a state of matter. I'm not sure. That feels like marketing buzz to me. Anyway, what do I know? I'm just flipping through this kind of internet basics. This appendix introduces the internet and explains how you can explore its contents. Wow, learning about the internet and the web. That looks pretty cool, actually. Here's a little sub stuff. I don't know. Some of this stuff, it does make me nostalgic. But I'll tell you what it makes me nostalgic for. I'll give you just the real basics of what it makes me nostalgic for, which I have already kind of done as I pack this up again. I'm going to put it back in the attic. Maybe I'll sell this one. I don't know. What I get nostalgic for is the days when things just didn't suck. Things just, everything. And I know somebody coined the word enshittification, and that really does capture what is happening. And it's about, I don't know who makes these decisions at Microsoft. I wonder who makes the decisions at Microsoft about burying the new folder icon underneath a menu. I don't know who makes that decision. That has to be somebody. I mean, there has to be somebody who is actually, that's their job to make that decision. Probably a small team of people, or maybe a big team of people. I don't know. And it's probably a case where factions form, and eventually they come to it. They start warring with each other, and they decide this is what it's going to be, and everybody knows it's wrong, but it's the best consensus that they can come to, and decisions are made by consensus. I don't know if that's true or not. It feels like that's true. And when I get an update like I got today that made me so angry at Microsoft, I think if there were a small group of people working to make sure that Windows was always the best it could possibly be, like a really small group of people whose job was just to make sure that it didn't get polluted by other crap, it would be a better operating system, and we would be having a better computing experience. I'm just sure of it. But what do I know? Well, anyway, thanks for joining me on this rant, this Gear Graveyard rant today about Microsoft operating systems. I couldn't find my DOS disks, or we'd be talking about DOS as well, and maybe we'll do that again next week. Again, True was under the weather today, so I'm doing this one on my own, but I sure do thank you for watching. If you enjoy this, please give us a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel. And we look forward to seeing you here again next time on the Gear Graveyard. All right, it says on here that authenticity of the CD ROM can be verified by the presence of a holographic image near the center. Well, let's see what we got here. Let's see if we can actually see. Holographs, come on, man. It says the word genuine. What else you got there? I don't know what that is. Some kind of code. Some kind of authenticity code. That's how you know it. Oh, it's 43105. That's how I know it's authentic, etc., etc. Oh, cool. It's genuine.